I've just been chatting for about 5 minutes. No one's heard a word. Okay, sorry, I had some problems with Rhythmic. I had to restart it. I'm glad somebody said something. I could have been chatting for here for hours and no one had realised. So, what did you miss? I can't remember now. What did I say? Okay, so you can hear me now. Yeah, my mic wasn't switched on for some reason. When I opened Rhythmic, I've been backwards and forwards just looking. So you can read lips. I've been backwards and forwards looking at the chart. But then all of a sudden the little thing came up for Rhythmic, so I had to restart it. So, okay, let's see how we get on today then. So what are we likely to do today? Have we got any ideas? A couple of legs, maybe slightly more than a couple of legs, but we have spent a lot of time going up, haven't we, over the last few days? So it's hard to know really. So are we going to get a new low? So we got a touch, a touch, a touch. Are we going to get a new low from here? It's hard to say really, isn't it? Sometimes we make a new low quick, and other times we sort of beat around the bush before we eventually, you took that short we just had. That one there. Yeah, what are we doing? Are we going up? Are we coming down? It's hard to say. Just looking at that NQ channel down with a break. We had a break. We've had sort of, it's hard to say whether this is going to come down or not, trap those longs. Are we just going to get two legs down to the EMA and it's going to continue up? Have we got anything that resembles a channel here? Yeah, we have. That could be a bit of an overshoot actually. So we've got a touch and a touch. Fit in nice there. And that overshoot. So are we now eventually going to worm our way down? Most of the time we do. But sometimes we'll have a break and come straight down. Other times we'll mess around here for half an hour before we eventually work our way down. So I don't know what we're going to do. To that shop, yeah. Beautiful in the UK at the moment. Where are we now? We got 20 degrees centigrade. Lovely sunshine. I've been out watering the garden. It's beautiful here at the moment. It's been jogging bottoms and flip-flops and t-shirts from now on, I think. Yeah, it's lovely. Makes a change. So much nicer when the sun's shining rather than it being cold and all that sort of stuff. Horrible. Horrible. So, maybe, maybe a triple test. So, what I will say is there's no real overshoot on the ES. We got a touch there, touch. So, it's hard to say, are we topping off now? The trouble is with this, if we're in a channel and we have a break, ordinarily you'd expect a new high. But the way this seems to be topping off, I am still expecting, because we've got a touch, it's fitting nice in that channel. So my honest opinion is, I'll be surprised if we don't make a new low. It's just when we do it. Let me just check all my
order submitted.
Pieces. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Order cancelled.
Trading one contract on the one that's had the payout and 2 contracts on the remaining 9. 65. 65. I had a watch round at some of the other streamers. I know Watson had a bad day yesterday, didn't he? Alpine, he was down about 47 grand at one point. I think he ended up 20-odd thousand down. Blew some of his accounts. So I haven't even continued to bother to look into the open range breakout, to be honest with you. It's just too risky. I didn't actually. I always usually do. It's rare I don't. I didn't for some reason. I probably had a few single malts too many last night, but why? What did I miss? But yeah, that open range breakout, I haven't even bothered looking into it. It's just too risky. It puts all your eggs in one basket. And he got battered. He absolutely got battered. I don't like to see anybody. I mean, to be honest with you, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's in for. He makes a lot of money. And I've seen him get battered a couple of times, but he comes back and makes money. So it works for him. But I mean, you really want to be back testing that thing on a... it is a lot to do with judgment. We get the general idea. But it is a lot to do with judgment. Where do you put your orders? And I think that's something that takes a long time to get used to. I've read someone that was talking about volatility in stops and some stuff. I need to watch it. Yeah, I'll watch it tonight. I usually do. I usually watch everyone's, to be honest with you. I usually have a browse at Sam when he's trading, just to see what he's up to. He seems to be trading better. You know, it was only a couple of weeks ago he was doing 8 or 10 trades a day. He's toned that down, I think, and I think he'll notice the benefits of that. But he seems to be doing well at the moment. I hope it lasts for him. But he's got I think he's got about 4 PAs on the go, and I think he's had about 3 payments, I think, so far, maybe 3 or 4. So he's doing really well, Sam is. But yeah, he went through the same phase as me, just taking way too many trades, but he does seem to have toned it down a little bit now, so I think he'd do all right. Oh, I've just had my payment go in. Beautiful. So are we going to come down from here? Leg. Hard to say. What I will say is on that NQ, if we didn't have an overshoot there, we certainly have there. So I'll be surprised if this doesn't come down. There is like a little triple top here on that ES, but I can't get involved in that. That's just wishful thinking if I'm going to jump in on a trade there. So what I will say is we've got a leg broken into 2, and we've got another leg broken into 2, and we do seem to be, yeah, we got a little triple top there and an overshoot. Overshoot on the NQ. As tempting as it is, it's no real setup, unfortunately. There is, clear legs, but yeah, you never know when it's going to do that. Okay. Now that's an overshoot. Yeah, he has been talking a bit more lately, Mac, hasn't he? Well, talking or ranting. Sometimes he gets a bee in his bonnet, doesn't he? And he needs to get it out of his system. But he must get pestered to hell with emails. People asking the same thing over and over and over again. But yeah, he can't tell you enough. I get what he's saying. He talks a lot about you need to stay on a simulator until you can, start to make this happen. Trouble is that urge to want to make money is hard, isn't it? But the trouble is, what I find is I get the fact that you need to go on a simulator, but people never stay on a simulator as long as they really need to, because you never realise how difficult trading is until you've done it a few years. So yeah, I would absolutely agree. I mean, if I could tell myself what to do now, I would say for absolutely certain I would spend 18 months on a simulator. Absolutely 18 months, and I would just trade as much as I could, but I wouldn't put a single penny in it for at least a year and a half. And then when you start to get some, it may even take longer than that. I think it took me, I would say, only up until maybe the last 3 or 4 months that I found my skill level was better. I was getting trapped less. And I would consider myself as an obsessive compulsive, so I've spent a lot of time, you know, on these charts. Been trading for about a year, got one funded, and that's after 6 months on a sim. Yeah, Sarah Wex. Where are you from, bud? You're a new face. I can't tell you how difficult trading is. I don't want to burst your bubble or anything, but having said that, some people will pick it up quicker. But you've got two main elements to trading. You've got the skill side, learning to read the charts and learning the strategy and learning to apply it all to the correct context. That's one section of it. And the other half of it is the psychological battle that every trader goes through. And for me, that is the most dangerous part, because that's when you can start to clock up some of that money. So if I was to tell myself, I would not even consider putting a penny in it for 18 months and just trade as much as you possibly can. It is screen time because, I know how my skill levels improved purely and simply because I got trapped so many times. And you do learn and identify those times when it happens. But yeah, people just can't tell you. And I get what Max gripe, he probably gets loads of emails saying, I've been doing it a year now, why aren't I making money? I've been on, I've lost this amount, I've lost that amount. And I suppose in a sense, people blame him for it really. But if there's ever a guy that repeats himself that many times, how difficult it is and how you want to stay on a sim, people can't really blame him. He's said it 1,000 times over, but, people still think it's easier than it is. But, at some point you do need to move over and have some sort of skin in the game. And then you have to sort of go through that slow mindset change of the psychological side that's going to give you some trauma. So maybe if we can get a triple test here, I may consider going short, because that to me is a clear overshoot. So we tried to go up once, twice. Let's see what happens here. But it is a tough business, and it's way tougher than I've done lots of different jobs and learned a bunch of different things in my time, and I've never done anything close to this. It is that psychological barrier. It's almost like going into a gym, 18 stone, and expecting to put to lose all the weight and put muscles on within a few months. It just doesn't happen. Takes a few years of very, very slow progress and hard work. I started to get payouts when I did not move my stop anymore. Yeah, I went through a lot of that. The most I'll move it now is a tick, but that's part of the strategy anyway. But I was terrible for doing that, moving my stop. So I was managing a trade, saw that guy make 10,000. Trade decided to follow him realistically. Bad trading style. Yeah. Excuse me a sec. Sorry about that. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can earn a lot of money at trading, and there are people earning a lot of money. But whenever you can earn money like that, it's never going to come easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But I do believe there's something like a 95% failure rate. Now, not because it's too difficult, it's because people can't put up with that sort of psychological trauma, and it does feel like trauma at times. I don't want to put anybody off. I mean, if you're the committed type, as far as I'm concerned, you stick at it, you'll get somewhere. But there is such a lot of frustration and anger, and you ask anybody who's been doing it a few years, and they'll tell you, you get moments where you're feeling really down and miserable and snappy. But it's almost like bodybuilding your brain. I mean, we all realise we can all go at the gym, can't we? And you can put muscles on, but it doesn't come easy. It takes years. I'd say at least a couple of years before you start really noticing a difference. And it's the same thing with your mind. The difference is if you're losing weight or putting muscle on, you can physically see it. But in the mind, when you've got that slow change in the mind, you can't. You just have to hope and just trust that it'll eventually come. So let me have a look at this. So We've had a channel with a break. That to me is an overshoot. So we've had one push up, second push up. If we can make another test up here, then I'll be interested in going short there. Not just yet. That ATR is nice at the moment, so the bars aren't too risky. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to sit down and work out exactly what I've put into this financially, but I bet it's the best part of $25,000. And that it does concern you from time to time, but I've said it before, what you're really doing by trading this is paying for an education. Now, if you were to go into the UK to do a degree course at a university in the UK, you'd be talking £10,000 per year. And in most cases, that's, as a loan. So you've got interest and you've got to pay it back. So you're talking £30,000 at least for a 3-year degree. So what's that, $38,000? And no one will tell you not to go to university and do a degree course. But, most people who go to university are never going to earn the same amount of money traders potentially can. But it does take time. And not only that, you can't go from earning a normal wage to earning stupid amounts without it affecting you. I mean, look at Alpine. Even he says he still can't believe what he's earning. He's earned, over $200,000 in the first 3 or 4 months? He's sort of still in a little bit of bewilderment. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Do we call that a triple test? I'm not taking this at the moment. For me, that's one push-up. That is one move, a second push-up. And not only that, this NQ, I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. There may be a channel there. So, yeah, I like that. It's fitting relatively nice. Touch, 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 touch. Fits nice at the top. So we may get a break here, so that may come down a bit, but then it may continue up. So I don't think I'm ready to take a short here. How many sleepless nights did you have when you started trading futures for money, not sim? Oh, terrible. It does change it. I mean, you ask my wife, it changes your mood. My wife used to say to me, I used to dread you coming down after a fair. Not that I'd be nasty with her, but I'd be miserable, frustrated, quiet, just grumpy. Because you try so hard and you spend so many hours and you put in so much money and any other job I've ever done in my life, you get rewards so much quicker. But with this, it just, and it almost, the longer you've been doing it, the harder it seems to get. It's weird. But it is changing that mindset because we're not used to reacting how we should do as a trader when we lose something. Normally we lose something. What do you want it back? You panic. You demand it back. You want it back straight away. And, when you lose a trade, the chance of you losing another one straight after just climbs up tenfold. It's tough, and it does. For me, it's almost like running a marathon with baby steps. Tiny little half steps at a time. It takes forever. But it's based on experience. The more experience, like being a driver, if you've been driving 10 years or whatever and, something pulls out in front of you, boom, boom, you hit your brake. You don't even have to think about it. It just comes automatic. And experience on the road, just little tiny judgments and that, which you just get from experience. I'm not saying driving's difficult, but, if you're a very experienced driver, the outcome in a sticky situation is completely different. But it's very, very, very small steps, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But it can feel absolutely brutal at times. I've had messages from people saying, I feel terrible, I've blown another account, I don't know what to do. And I've had people, I got one trader buddy, used to take beta blockers to slow his heart rate down. But there was a guy who started streaming for a while. Yeah. I even tried, see, I like a single malt, and I even tried trading after a few drinks to try and take the edge off it. It didn't go well, I can assure you. But yeah, I used to have a mate, a buddy used to just take mushrooms of a night to try and mellow himself down. It does have that much of a psychological effect on you. And people do all sorts of stuff. So let me have a look here. I think that bar there will come down to this top here. I'm not taking it anyway because there may be something bigger here, but we've had an overshoot there. And sometimes after an overshoot, we will push up, make a new high, and then drop. But whether this will happen or not, I don't know. I'm just... I would certainly expect it to come down to this line or to the EMA or something, but I ain't getting involved in that. That's sort of... I'm not comfortable with what I'm seeing here, so... But no, it is tough. Change it. Yeah. I used to... You know something? When I used to... when I started streaming... And if I was down a trade or two, I'd finish the stream early. And the second that stream shut and we were coming down, I clicked sell 5 times. 2 contracts, so I got 10 contracts just to try and scrappily get it back. And you may get a few ticks back. And then if it goes up, you don't even think about a setup. You just click buy, buy, buy. All you're trying to do is scrappily get your money back in a fit of panic. Now, I would say maybe 2 or 3 times out of 10 it would work. But the rest it wouldn't. But that feeling of jumping in used to make me feel physically sick. It's a horrible feeling. It feels like you're completely out of control. And I think the last time I did it, revenge traded, was about 6 weeks ago. 6 or 7 weeks, but beginning of March. Yeah, first week in March. That's the last time I did it with an account, and I haven't blown an account. And I remember going downstairs, and for about an hour after, my heart rate was beating like crazy. I felt like I'd literally just done a couple of mile sprint, something I haven't done for years, and my heart was just going clappers. But there was a guy who started streaming for a while with a heart rate monitor on, and it is when he was looking at trades, it was flowing at about 90 beats per minute, and then when he got into a trade, he went up to about 145. So it just goes to show you how much of an emotional connection trading has. I don't think any trader has a perfectly normal resting heart rate when they're trading. I think it's quite hard. I'm just going to move this down here a minute just to see if that fits in. You know what? I think it probably does. I'm not massively convinced now. This is an overshoot. Don't forget the days when you go oversize and FOMO and trade. Yeah, it's horrible. It really is. You feel like an addict. You know, I've never been addicted. Now, when I was a bit younger and I went out for a beer, I'd have a smoke. But then I wouldn't touch them for months. That it used to bother me. I went through the phase of trying some drugs, in my early 20s and that, but, I used to smoke weed or something. It used to put me to sleep. So I've never really been addicted to anything or felt like anything controlled me until I started trading. And then I felt like a pig on roller skates. I really just felt out of my depth completely. Right. I'll tell you to adjust your trend channel, but once in your trades, adjust it to there. I've done it anyway. I think that's what you mean, isn't it? So, but yeah, it's touch. Wonder if traders working for a company are required to take a couple of selects before. The thing is, and I'll say this because I genuinely believe it, if you work for a company, you've got it easier than if you're a retail trader, because when you work for a company, 1, you get paid a wage, 2, you get trained by experts who've been doing this for years. 3, you get all the support, all the software support, the hardware support. You don't have to worry about hardware or things breaking down. They have psychologists working with traders. You've got the whole package. Now, I suppose you have to worry about maybe losing your job if you're crap at it, but whereas a retail trader's got to learn off his own back, he's got to trade with his own money, he's got to source his own psychological support. It's a lot tougher. So when you make it as a retail trader, I think you earn it more than when you make it as an institutional type of a trader, purely and simply because you've had to figure it all out yourself. Possible second entry long here, but I'm just not liking these tops at the moment. Reverse sports, enhanced, yeah, probably all sorts of stuff people have taken over the years. Performance enhancing drugs, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. People take stuff to calm nerves and stuff like that. So we've got a touch. 2 touches there, a touch there, touch there. I think that's all right now. Even though I've been trading Pats for 6 years, I still see little evidence it's a successful strategy. I've made thousands of trade, but only a handful are making more than minimum wage. Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? See, for me, trading has been an absolute complete lifestyle change. Even, when I started this, I've been trading Pats now for 3 years. When I started it, after about 3 or 6 months, I changed my job. I started working weekends so I could trade full time because I knew it was what I wanted to do. And I knew I had to sort of commit. So, maybe sometimes if you're obsessive and you put hours after hours and it's all you think of, does it help you? I don't know. I don't know is the answer, really. But what I will say is I've got 10 PA accounts now. So even if you can get to the stage where you can take $1,000 a month out of each one, or even $5,000 a month, it's still more than you're going to earn working for somebody else. And my average trading day is 2.5 hours. I don't have to worry about going out. I don't need a vehicle. I don't need insurances. I don't need tools. You don't need nothing. So there is a possible second entry long there. My slight concern is we still haven't made a possible low, or there may be I don't know. But is this looking like we're going up to me? There is a possible second entry long. I'm just not sure about this at the moment. So I am sitting tight. We're also looking a bit flat at there, so I'm not sure whether we start to go sideways. I'm not ruled out the chance of breaking a low here. So look at that. So 1, 2, 3 tops there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. We may go a little bit sideways or sideways, whatever it is. Rodian, how you doing, buddy? So, yeah, channel looks good. Touch. There's 2 touches right on that line, right from the go. 3 touches there, really. There as well. And it's fitting once, twice, 3 times. It's fitting nice. It visually looks okay as well. Now, we may either go sideways or just get a break and push straight up. But what I'd probably like to do is make 1, 2. So we're pushing up. Let's call that 1 attempt to go higher. Maybe this is a second, maybe a triple test up to these tops. But no, I mean, what's changed for me is being able to walk away on a loss. So if you can win more trades than you lose, so if the maths goes in your favour, that's one that's one positive point. And then, so as we all know, whenever you're trading and you're winning trade after trade, everything feels fantastic. The world's perfect. Everything's great. And as soon as you take a loss or two, that mindset changes just a little bit. And then you want to try and get straight back on the saddle. So if you can manage to not let that affect you so you end up blown in accounts, I think that's a second plus. and then all you've got to try and do is consistently do it. So I think most people can do this if they're committed enough, they're prepared to put the time in. But it is screen time. The more you do this, if you're sat in front of these every day for 20 years, you're going to pretty much know a lot of the time what's good and what isn't good, even if you haven't got a strategy, just watching these. And we're not sitting here browsing and having a slight glance at these. We're invested in every little move. So you do notice changes and patterns. So I believe if you're committed, but you've got to want to do it. If you don't enjoy it, or you hate being at the charts and you look for an excuse to get away, and you're just thinking, oh, I just want to do it for the money, but you've got to kind of love it in a strange way. You've got to have a love-hate relationship. You know, I enjoy the challenge. I don't think of every minute, oh, I can't wait for it to end. You know, if you're doing that, and you're trying to get away from the charts all the time, then, you know, you may find it difficult. So maybe we want it. So, okay, so initially I had my, almost the hardest part of trading is to do nothing, for example. Yeah, you've got to be prepared to sit here for 4 hours and not take a trade. When you do first start, it's near damn impossible. I remember the first time I ever put money into an account, I put 5,000 into account, and I worked out I should be about $80 up for the day. But what I didn't take into consideration, the $165 worth of fees. So that just tells you how many trades I was taking. PW next president. PW. Who's PW? PW. Just trying to think who PW is. You took that failure. That one, yeah. I wasn't sure about that, whether that would trigger and push up. I like the channel. I did have it slightly different, so this was an overshoot. But I'm not convinced it is. PW. Who's PW for president? I'm talking here about US president. PW. I don't think who PW is. What I think's funny is if we end up having Boris Johnson again and you guys end up having Trump. That'd be strange, won't it? I'm not sure whether this is coming down. Maybe it is. See, I initially had that like that. And it kind of fitted nice. But then we had this, so I thought it was an overshoot, and we came down and went higher, and then we just continued to again. So then I adjusted it to around about there just to see if it fits. And it kind of still does. I'm not convinced that is an overshoot. Maybe it is. I don't understand why those in the UK cannot have a better president. Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow politics as much as I used to. But we got Rishi Sunak at the moment, or Rusty Bullsack as I call him. I'm not a massive fan of him. Always live with wealth. I mean, they had all this thing with his wife. She had non-domiciled, so she wasn't paying tax in the UK, and she was making millions. And when that came out, she decided to change her status. It's all bullshit. It's all about what they can get, really. Now, don't get me wrong. If I started making shed loads of money, you get greedy. You want it if you've had a good lifestyle. I understand people having a privileged lifestyle that they don't want to end up poor again. They want to make more money. I understand greed. We've all got greed to a certain extent, so I don't hold it against them. But, sometimes they deny it. No, we're out for the people. But I don't know, who knows? Maybe they are. ERP, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? I'm still waiting to find out who PW is for the next president. So are we now pushing up here? Mind you, Putin's been given another term, hasn't he? I think that's a good idea. I was watching a few people being interviewed saying, yeah, they like him, it's this, that, and the other. I do wonder how many people are talking out of fear. Any trades yet? Not for me yet, but I had no trades either yesterday. We've had this little break here, so whether that's going to continue up or not, I'm not sure. No, nothing yet, nothing yesterday. In fact, I know there was a lot of trades around yesterday. Did Mac mark many trades? He probably marked about 2 dozen, didn't he? But I didn't see a great deal, to be honest with you. Okay, if we can get a higher low here. So it is a break, and we have pushed up above the EMA. So if we can get a higher low. I've had my payment through. $2,000 equates to £1,588. I was kind of hoping at some point $2,000 might mean £2,000. That would be a bit nicer for us. Let me just check I'm not missing anything here. Small channel there with a break and a new low, a few little bounces there, so I think it's likely it's going to go up. Mac Mark 4. Oh, so not many then. Okay, so I was right. Yeah, there wasn't many. 4. God, that's low, isn't it, for Mac? It's usually, there's dozens of them. I wish he'd tell us which ones he took out of those. Which ones he deemed to be the best. So this is slowly working up. So are we going to get a drop? Are we going to trap some longs? That bullish bar there is triggered. I'd still... Well, we haven't made a new low from this yet, have we? So whether we will or not. Thomas, how are you, my friend? Our French friend. He doesn't say which one he takes, but sometimes it doesn't fit the rules. Yeah. I tell you what I'll say to that, Thomas. I think, and I've said this for a while, I think the reason he doesn't tell us what trades is because he breaks his own rules, which I think you can do when you're as experienced as him. You know, whenever we learn something, you learn to drive, and then you find your own style of driving. Excuse me. So that's why I think, because if Max showed us some of his trades and he went for trades that his gut feeling told him was a good trade, although it might not be a perfect setup, he'd probably get 1,000,001 emails saying, why did you say that? Why did you say that? So I think that's why he does it. You know, you notice things when you're sat here day after day, you notice certain patterns. So I think that's why he doesn't show us. But it would be nice for him to say, out of all the charts he marked, which ones did he determine, you know, the best. I mean, I can tell now anyway, really. You know, don't you? When you've been doing this long enough, you do know which are the better setups. But sometimes it's, you know, it's always nice to get into the mind of the guy, isn't it? This to me is struggling to get up. My concern is we've actually made a new high on the NQ there. After that channel, well, we made a new high there, but after a couple of legs down, we've pushed up again. Okay, it does look like it's going to push up. Unfortunately, there's no setup. Kanan, how you doing, bud? What I do, if you look at Mac, he'll generally draw it from the wick. So if he draws a channel from there, that's where he'll draw it from, and then wherever it fits. I mean, is there any reason? See, if we go from there, we've touched there a couple of times, the body touches and that. So, you know, start from the wick and then follow the bodies. Occasionally, you might have a wick in there, but that to me looks a nice channel. We've had a break of it, and we'll look like we're pushing up. So yeah, generally from the lowest point, and just sort of where it fits really. Sometimes I will do it to the body at the start, but it depends. So that trade has played out beautifully. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. You may even call that fifth one. It's fitting visually nice. Maybe not getting as high in parts, but we've had 2 legs down, which is a break, and we've pushed up, made a new high. So that channel has done what it should do. What it does a lot of the time when we have a break, with the exception of this one. MMX. Look. Yeah, what I will say is now I've had a few years experience this. If something doesn't work, I can usually tell why. If I lose a trade, it's probably because I've pushed in my limits a little bit. But price action is actually really accurate. You can really explain it away. You know, sometimes when something goes sideways, it can affect sometimes the outcome. But even then, even a good solid trade, even if it goes sideways, often still wins. So, you know, I don't know. I watch other streamers sometimes, and I hear people like trades with Travis saying he likes $400 to $600 a day. Well, trading Pats, it's hard to do that because you're talking 2 to 3 trades a day. I really don't see that many. Occasionally, yeah, but I mean, I was talking with Daniel a few weeks ago, and he's one of the more experienced people in the Pats group, and I know he does well. I know he makes a lot of money. And he told me a few years ago he was averaging 2 or 3 trades a day. Now he's averaging about 5 trades a week. So there aren't as many setups lately trading Pats as there used to be. Why that is, I can only have an idea, but I don't know, in all honesty. But I know some people have some luck changing the chart, maybe changing the 1,000 tick. Now, if you change the 1,000 tick, there'll be twice as much price action. So I've noticed sometimes when we have a break of a channel and we get 3 green bars up, sometimes we get 3 solid green bars on the 2,000 tick chart. Sometimes on the 1,000 tick chart, we'll get a high low, so you'll get a setup. So I don't think it's a bad idea looking at these other charts, maybe going through these other charts at the end of the day. Just go through, see what you saw, see if there was more setups. But yeah, sometimes, you know, you hear other people's stories about they're averaging this a day, and I'm thinking, well, I'm not. But what I will say is trading isn't easy. There is no magic bullet. There is no... but there are multiple strategies, hundreds of different ways of taking the market. But you can make money at this. I'm 100% believer you can. Because when I'm trading calmly and I'm not taking stupid trades, I'm profitable. I can build an account. But the only things that have let me down is when I have the odd loss. That affects you. Now, that's going to affect you, the psychological side of that. It doesn't matter what strategy you're using. But the hardest part about trading, and lots of people, I've heard lots of experts say this, it's never the strategy. It's the person. It's how losses affect you. It's whether you revenge trade or whether you take riskier trades or whether you follow the rules. But most strategies will work. And this is a strategy that's been tried and tested for over 25 years. But, you can make money out of it, but it doesn't come quick. It does take time. Thomas Wade is finding very few. Yeah, absolutely. I think if you most of the time you'll find a trade a day. I tend to average about 3 over the last couple of months. I've averaged around 3 winning trades up per week, which after fees is around about $600. And in my opinion, I am more than happy with that, because that gives me a little over $2,000 per month on an account. And if you've got 10 accounts, that's $20,000 per month. That's not pocket change. That's a serious wage. And that's without building your own pot and maybe, and you can have up to 20 accounts. And even if you have an absolute shit month and make half of that, $10,000 for working 2.5 hours a day is damn good money. And that's on a bad week. But I've been trading Pats long enough now to know it is good and effective. But you do have to be patient, you do have to be disciplined, and you do have to let go the crappy trades and wait for the good ones. And if you do that, you'll get a high win rate. And Marco Marco's a good trader. Marco, to me, when he used to do his bar by bar, comes over as very robotic, and I think that is the perfect mentality for a trader. But it does take time. You can't expect to be doing this 1.5 years really and making good consistent money. I dare say there are people that do it. But I've been doing this 3 years, trading Pat style 3 years, and trading from a complete beginner for about 3.5. And I'm just getting to the stage now where I feel now I'm starting to make money. I'm out of that sort of lull, if you like. If anybody hasn't seen this, I think most of you have. But there is 1 or 2 newer traders in. So some of you have probably seen this. I've shown it. It's on Sam's page. It's on his website. Let me just show you. The psychological side of trader's journey. Most of you have probably seen this. And this is absolutely so accurate. It really is. So look at that. So you start trading. You have the idea for whatever reason, and you download a piece of software, you learn a few of the basics, and you start to make a bit of money. You start to make a bit of money in a sim. And straight away, you have that initial win and euphoria. I had exactly the same, and I remember jacking my job in on a Friday and coming home and sticking $5,000 in. And then all of a sudden, you lose it all. And then you have loss, low traction and fear, and you get down and think, oh my God, this is harder than I thought. And then you spend a period of time up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then you start to get a few payments, and then you lose, and a few payments, and then you lose. And then you'll get to the point of being that fed up and that sick and tired of losing and throwing away money. You hit this area. Do I give up or do I carry on? And if you carry on and you decide to carry on, that in itself is a mindset change. So then you decide, I've just got to follow the rules. And for some reason, something changes in your head. You start to follow the rules and don't revenge trade. And then this happens. It starts to work. And then you start to get that realism that I know I've needed to do this, but I've never had that mental capacity, that strength and that discipline because of the psychological stuff that you can't control. and you continue to go up a bit more, and then you break even. And that's then where it really does dawn on you, this works. And you start to follow the rules and play by the rules, and then you continue up again. Success, maturity, and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, there you go. So most of you have seen that before. So, have a look. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Delete. So, let me have a look. Okay, so we've had this channel, we've had a break, and we've had a few pushes up. Now, we're almost back at the highs on this. We are actually, so we've had that leg break and pushing up, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. Sam, Rachel GAH is cutie. I'm not sure what you're on about there, bud. Rachel GAH is cutie. I'm not sure what you mean there, bud. Let's have a little look. Like the one we are watching now. It's a cutie. I'm not sure what you mean. What one you watching now? I'm not sure what you mean, bud. This is what I'm seeing. Just my chart. I don't know what you guys are seeing. It starts with GAH. GAH. You're about my wife? Is that what you mean? I'm not sure what you mean, Sam. I'm not sure what you're looking at. Yeah, Rachel, my wife. What made you say that? I don't know what you're seeing, but yeah, Rachel, I don't know what you're seeing, bud. Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, right. You had a tab with your email on it. Oh, yeah, she's fine, mate. I didn't know what you was on about, that's all. What did I bring in? I can't remember what I brought in. Tab with me email. Oh, on Sam's thing. Let's have a look. Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, right, yeah, I see it on the top, yeah. That's my wife. Yeah, I see what you mean. You can see the tab. Yeah, I wonder what he's on about for a minute. What it was on about. Let's have a look. Yeah, I got it, Thomas. Yeah, I see it now. I opened Sam's thing, didn't I? A lot stronger moves come after you enter a Mac move. Yeah, I see. My surname's Garn, Gahan. Same name as Garn, Dave Gann from Depeche Mode. So when you said GH, Rachel, I'm thinking, what am I? I don't know. I thought, what you seen that I'm not? Yeah, I got you. I know what you're saying. Gonna need to stay right. What is going on here? I'll tell you what, volume's low again. A restraining order on Sam. He's alright, he's been around here for a while now. So, what is going on here? Right, let me just drag this in a minute. So this is the NQ chart. So We literally recovered all that drop. So let's just put that there like that. So what are we doing? Are we going to push up or not? I don't know. Is there a bigger channel? Yeah. Yeah, see that on the NQ. Touch, touch, touch. Let's get rid of that now. Yeah, it's kind of working. So, I don't know. The trouble is it may come down from there. It may have gone high enough. It may push up. It's done it again. Once it's dropped off again. Our trader's dropped off again. It's the second time it's happened today. Okay, we're back in. There we go. Strange, that's the second time it's dropped today. God, this is slow today. That's it, that and that. That's the whole price action. Why is it low again? Yeah, it was slow yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah, that was the bank holiday in the UK. That was the day before. There was a bit more. You can see the distance here. That was low as well. Yesterday was low, very much sort of sideways, really. I'm not sure. I'll tell you what, folks. I'm just going to... How long have we been going for? About an hour. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break. Make a quick cup of tea. Just pop that up there. So... Is this continuing on up? I really don't know at the moment. I'm not getting involved in this. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick 3 to 5 minute break, make a cup of tea, and I'll be back. Okay. Not really missed anything, have we? It's this thing. There does seem to be a wider channel there, I think. Yeah, there is like a two-tiered channel there. That's just an overshoot. I think that's why it's turned. Another slow start. Okay, so depending on how you see that one, that is obviously an overshoot. So even if you've done it, you know, like that, break a new high, however you want to draw it. In fact, that actually looks better, doesn't it? Hard to say at the moment. Yeah, it's clearly an overshoot anyway. We're up to these highs. also got a leg and a leg. Let's see if we get a lower high here after that overshoot. If we can get a lower high, let's see what happens. Just a quick glance on the 10,000 tick chart a minute. We've had a channel going up there, and we've had an overshoot there, and we've got a big bearish bar there. So that's interesting. If we can get a lower high here, it may come down to the EMA. Sorry if you can hear howling. My wife's just turned up from work. Yes, I mean, the way they're howling, they're only actually cockapoos. They sound like bloody, what's it, dogs, aren't they? Okay, what's going on here? We're going to have another pop, are we? That's tempting. It's a small risk as well.
Order submitted.
Let's just give it a second, see how it reacts. It's not my usual type of trade. Now, I definitely believe that is an overshoot. And we've bounced off that line and there's a lower high. It's a very small risk, I will say. It's not my usual type of trade. No, I've just...
Order
I
cancelled.
don't usually take trades like that, to be fair. Mac might mark it. He does sometimes, I've noticed. But you don't know whether we're going to get a second entry and it's going to push up higher. It's hard to say, really. It's quite bullish at the moment. That's where I'd want to get out there. Okay, it's probably going to make 2 points. Tick below there and it will do. So it is at least coming back to the EMA, I think. It is on the NQ. See, I see Mac marking a lot of these lower highs after an overshoot. I've tended to not trade them up to now. But there is a lower high there. And it clearly worked. There was definitely 2 points in there. So if you went in a tick below there, comfortably 2 points, yeah. I ummed and ahed about it. I probably should have got in because it's a very small risk. Possibly more of a break of the... Yeah, it's hard to say really, isn't it? I even sorted to look whether it was anything like that. But same again. So another reason why I think it's an overshoot is because it looks right the same on here. And not only have we had an overshoot, we've broken above these highs, so you probably expect it to retest these. So that, the NQ got me thinking that, you know, we had exactly the same setup, lower high. It pushed up and touched that, and you can see we've been up a couple of times before. So I don't generally take those, but I do see Mac marking the odd one. But you know, when you just, if for some reason I think, am I having a go here? These are the types of trades I should be just monitoring if I don't take them regularly rather than trading with my accounts. So there is a second entry long. Be interesting to see that come down and stop that out. But the trouble is, sometimes when we have a break, we'll come back here, push up, make a new high, and then drop quite quickly. Other times we'll have sort of a bit of a correction. So at the moment, I'm just not sure. I wouldn't think that would be a good trade to take, though, after that. I would like to see that stopped out. It is a second entry long, but there is kind of a little channel there, isn't there? I wouldn't consider just those 2 bars and a break. Nothing for me there anyway. I certainly wouldn't take that. So after that overshoot, there's a possible failure there as well. Trapping the longs. These can really work. Some after an overshoot, I really expect to come down here. Probably should have taken that one, that it was that small of a risk, and keep going up, taking the S. Yeah. That's one thing I like about the NQ. It tends to move a bit quicker than the ES, and I do find whatever the NQ does, the ES follows. But we had a lower high on that as well. Look at that. So if you went a tick below there and a tick above it, it's a 1.5 risk. Now, it was moving quite slow, so you could have probably even got in there on the nail. As far as risk, 1.25 points. You more than doubled your money there. So, I mean, if you got in... Get off, you bugger. If you got in right on the nail, what was it, 1.5? So you'd have got out probably, well, those first couple of bars, but it came down for 2.75 points. So if you'd have gotten on the nail 2 points, I'd have probably been looking at 2 points, which is about there. I don't know, sometimes, because it's not something I take a lot of, which is why I probably hesitated. But, you know, if I'm not sure, best thing to do, if you're ever not sure about a trade, we're always best to just stay out of it. But I'll be surprised if Mac doesn't mark that. Put that there. Failing that, there is 2 legs down as well. So would you take that? There's a few reasons why I wouldn't. It's just a bit too far from the EMA. And you could say that's kind of in the channel. It is but kind of a couple of legs, but I don't know. After that, what I would consider overshoot, or what could be an overshoot. I think if you think it's at an overshoot, I think the safest course of action is to assume it has. And when it's as an overshoot, you could have a leg and a leg. It could, a lot of the times it'll come down, give you a bullish entry, have a break, and come down. So I always avoid any longs. If we're in an uptrend and we have an overshoot, I'll let it sort itself out, whether we have a correction or what. But a lot of times it will do that, come in, it'll push up, attempt the new high, and then come down. And if it usually does that, then for me, I'd expect that now to continue down. I wouldn't expect that to push up anymore. So it's not something I often take, but it is something really more to monitor or practice a little bit on a sim. But sims are for practicing really, and taking a chance and maybe trying something new, not really a PA account. So the sensible thing to do there would be to just leave that. regardless of whether it worked or not. I didn't know it was going to work. But after the overshoot, we often do that, have a correction, so you may consider that a correction. But I'd at least expect something out of this side, which tells me I think we'll have a little push up. We may start to work down. It's hard to say. We could just be in a big range day for the day, really. So, you know, maybe we end up having something like that. I don't know, a channel down or something. I don't know. But, see, there's no other way I can see that as anything else bar an overshoot. Even if I adjust the chart like that, fits nice there, visually looks okay. You took the failed second entry long, that one there. Yeah, do you know, for some reason I hate it when they finish at the top like that. But after this, a lot of the times we'll see this, we'll have an overshoot and it will push up and then usually down. So how far down? Because sometimes we'll have a correction and then it'll slowly continue up again. See, that is what I'd expect. That NQ that's exactly what I'd expect. That to me is a clear correction. We've had a break out the top, an overshoot there, and an equal amount out of there. So this may continue up. It's hard to say really, but that's a correction. So you basically taken the equivalent of that. It actually looked a bit better on that channel on this chart than it did on the ES. But generally, I avoid ones like that. I don't really know why. Because would you consider that inside bar? It's more of an inside bar, isn't it? Because it finishes the same. But I'd much prefer a little touch on there, maybe just a little bit of a wick. Or even if we had, see, a bearish pin bar for me is much more bearish than this. Because all that's done, that bar there, that's been created by this one pushing up and that one coming down. Whereas a bearish pin bar, it's come down, it's pushed all the way up, and the selling pressure's pushed it all the way down, which makes it, in my opinion, a stronger short or a stronger looking bearish bar because it's not just crossed and come down. You know, because we all know when market goes sideways, it'll go up, crossover, come down, crossover, go up, and it'll just up, like that, up and down. So if we had a little tail touching here with a bearish bar, then I'd expect that to come down to at least these lows. I am starting to monitor overshoots a little bit more and what they're likely to get up to. But it is just about experience, isn't it? The longer you sit in front of these, the more you'll just know where these things go. So are we now going to come down? Is this more of a range? A larger range? Could be. What did it do yesterday? Pretty much a range. We had some moves, but pretty much it was mostly sideways. Where did we opened about here, didn't we? And closed here, so we closed about 10 points higher, I think, which isn't a lot really. Less than that, I think. So after that, so those initial pushes up, maybe we're having a couple of days of this before we continue on up again. Who knows? I don't think we're a million miles from all-time highs again, are we? Yeah, in fact, that failure on this looked a little bit nicer. Overshoot there. Not only that, we've broken above here, so you'd at least expect it to test this. So there was a failure there, which worked nice. So I wouldn't be thinking about going long here either. Yeah, definitely another day of lower volume. So, let's have a quick look at this NQ. So, we've had a break out of this, which has failed. So, what I'd like to see is a test of this underside. Might look at the 10,000. Yeah, I've got it up here. See that? I mean, it's hard to say, really. You could go like, you could go there. You probably should go there, actually. And so we've had a break in a new high. We've tested these tops, so I think it's more likely after this overshoot and that push up that we are going to now continue down. I'd like to test this underside and then give us something bearish. So it may just be a bigger range day. How does that look? Not terrible. So 2 legs back, an attempt at make a new high and then a drop. It's a little bit clear on the NQ. Trouble is we've broken up here in the NQ and it looks like we're testing this. So if we do test the underside on the NQ and that looks like it's going to go down, I'll be looking for a possible trade here. Unfortunately, you may not get it, but might even have a barbecue tonight. It's lovely in the UK at the moment. We've got 21 degrees centigrade here. Before you US, Florida, Miami guys start laughing at me, 21 degrees for this time of year. It's quite pleasant. I know some of you guys living in the tropics are probably walking around with a thick jacket on and a hat and gloves on at 21 degrees. But you've got 3 trades, have you? Good on you, mate. Good on you, done. I expect so, yeah. So you should be. Well done. Get your trades done, go and enjoy your day. That's another part that I love about trading is you get your trades done, get a trade or two in, and get off and enjoy your day. That's part of the fascination with trading, having a lot more time. Those of you with kids and stuff like that, or demanding wives, works great. She was 21 doing it. Where? Remind me where you are, bud. Where are you now? It's quite warm, actually, 21 degrees. It is in the UK. Mind you, we had a record, what was it? Year before last, we had about 42 degrees centigrade, which was a record for us. And jolly hot it was. Right now it's 27. Where are you, bud? You've probably told me before, but I've got a brain like a sieve lately. 27 plus. Yeah, 27 is not a bad temperature. That is probably... Are you in the Canaries, are you? Ah, I got you. So where are you originally from then, if you're the Canaries? You're European then, aren't you? I don't think you US guys tend to holiday in the Canaries, do you? Especially when you've got all the Caribbean south of you. Canaries is more for sort of European travellers, isn't it? More 27 degrees, so where are we in May? Yeah. Mind you, last time we had a record break in 55. God, so where do you live then? Where do you live? Remind me, 55. Oh, you're Lithuania, and you had 55. Good grief. 55 degrees, unbelievable. Yeah, I thought you were more European. I think US guys, mind you, why would you want to go to the likes of Spain and that when you've got sort of Florida and Miami and the Bahamas and all that, and all the Caribbean? It's a shit ice cream. Mind you, I don't mind it when you're not. I can put up with all the time. We went to Kenya. We got married in Kenya, and and it was baking there. It's the only holiday I've ever been on where my air conditioning in the room stayed on 24 hours a day. And that was a sweltering heat, that was. But I don't mind it. As long as I can sleep at night, I can put up with all the heat in the day. Because as soon as you hit a pool, your body temperature drops and, you can stuff yourself full of cold drinks and ice cream. And it's easy to keep cool, isn't it? But my dream is to go to Dubai, maybe to live there, maybe for a few years, certainly to holiday. And I know they have some horrendous temperatures there. Mind you, they've had some wild weather lately. They had that masses of flooding. I've never seen flooding like that. We've never had flooding like that in the UK, that bad. And you wouldn't expect it in Dubai. But I bet there was greenery popping up all over the place. I would like to go and do a skydive in Dubai over the desert. I used to do a little bit when I was younger. But there's just something about doing it over a desert which just looks spectacular. Yeah, it's when the wind blows from the Sahara, you get all... Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Mosquitoes, when they start biting you. And they love me, I will say that. But I lived in Cyprus for a couple of years when I was younger, when I was around about 11. My stepdad was in the army and we spent 2 years out there, and I remember getting bites the size of your fist on your legs, big thick hard lumps from mosquitoes. But we're lucky really that we don't have mosquitoes that do any real damage over here, but obviously parts of Africa, what is it, one of the biggest killers, something like that? Malaria. Mosquitoes are responsible for killing millions, aren't they? More, I think mosquitoes are responsible for killing more people than all 3 world wars, or Second World Wars, whatever they are. Altogether, unbelievable, really. You'd think we'd have eradicated the damn things by now. But they seem to keep popping up. We need them. You're welcome to them, mate. I don't like the damn things, I don't. When you say we need them, what do you mean? To keep the population down? Is that what you mean? No, they're horrendous things. I hate the damn things. Yeah, I thought as much. Mind you, the trouble is, if you're living in parts of the world, parts of Africa where they're rife, it must be scary at times. So what are we doing here? Are we continuing down? I think if we can get a second entry short off here, I may be looking to take a trade. Now, I know technically you could say we've had a break here, new low, but this to me is likely now to come down. Yeah. I tell you what I'm allergic to over here. I tend to get a reaction to horseflies over here. I had a bite last year on the sort of bottom of my hand, and my whole hand swelled up like a blown up rubber glove. It's the second time that's happened. I tend to react to them. But we're quite lucky in the UK, really. We don't have any dangerous anything, really. We don't really have... I don't think there's ever been a shark attack in the UK. We don't have dangerous spiders, dangerous snakes. We don't have earthquakes. We don't have tornadoes. We're quite lucky, really. There's nothing dangerous, really, that's going to get you over here. Women can be dangerous over here, though. Wives and girlfriends can be absolute deadly in the UK. They say they're not, but they are, trust me. I'm coming to the end of Suits. Somebody mentioned it a while back and I started watching it. I'm on season 9 now. I'm not sure. I'm on about episode 6 of season 9. I never really watched it, and then someone mentioned it. What a great series. I used to hate that Lewis. He used to wind me up, but I love the guy now. I think he's brilliant. What a character. So, just a quick glance at this NQ. So, there's an overshoot there, I think, and we're above here, and then we came down. There was a failure there, and in all fairness, it hasn't stopped. So, I'd expect a pull back here, somewhere around about here maybe, and then more than likely some continuation on down, because realistically it's just coming over as more of a range day to start unless we push higher, but I'd expect more of a correction to go higher. So I'd say, based on what I'm seeing, we're more likely to come down. So Sam, how you doing, matey? How you doing, bud? How many payouts have you had this year so far? 3 or 4? I think you've had at least 3, haven't you? 4 payouts. Good on you, mate. That's brilliant. I only had 5 payouts all last year. This will be a better year. I'm talking to the other Sam. 5 trader Sam. They paid out pretty far. Yeah, mine went into my bank this morning. I had a message from, what is it, one probably got the same as you, didn't I? 1,588.85. UK has the most tornadoes in the world per area. I've heard that, to be honest with you, but in all honesty, they're not ones that are going to lift houses and cars up. In fact, I drove through one once. It was the oddest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was. We knew it was going to be really windy that day, and I was driving an HGV at the time, a big oil tanker, 44-ton oil tanker, and I was coming back to the yard. And the weather started to get bad, and all of a sudden everything started to get really dark, and there was a tree in a field. I think it was an elm, so it died, and it just disintegrated, and everything that broke off it moved across the road to the left, and I couldn't see shit. There was bits of wood and stuff everywhere. It was just the oddest thing, and then it seemed to move to the left, disintegrate the tree in the field left, and move away. I remember getting out of my truck, and there was trees all over the road, and I remember this other trucker, old-timer, he came over to me, he said, I've been driving on these roads for 35 years, and I've never, ever seen anything that comes close to that. And then later on in the evening, we heard all over the news we'd had a tornado, but not quite the tornadoes you get in the US. I mean, those things, well, I mean, you get them quite regular, don't you? It can be devastating. Yeah, so you're doing all right, Sam. You're doing all right, bud. I think it's going to be a better year for all of us. I think every year is just, if you continue into trade, I think every year is always going to be an improvement on the last year. I've had 2 payments this year, but I have got 2 accounts just under the $2,000, and some more up and coming. So hopefully, fingers crossed. I should certainly improve on last year anyway. I think 10,000 I got last year. I've had 4 already, but I didn't have nowhere near this amount of accounts. So I just wish we'd get some damn trades. I'm hoping we get a second entry short here. My only slight concern is we've got this channel down, and I wouldn't consider taking a short until we were at that EMA, which means the NQ going up a bit. And if that's going to happen, this could end up here. Now, there is always that possibility this continue up, but I think it's doubtful. Channel down, leg and leg. So hard to say, isn't it? Maybe tempting there because that bar's pretty small. Let's have a look what Bookmap's doing. Yeah, hard to say that. Maybe going up. Close but no cigar, unfortunately. Let's see how Sam's getting on. Oh, you've had some trades. You have had a busy morning. Three slow days in a row. Yeah, you're not wrong, mate. Yeah, don't do that, Sam. It does happen sometimes. We do seem to get, when we have some real strong movements, we do tend to get a few stagnant days. I mean, we had those two big moves, didn't we? Then after the news and this pullback, then another move. So we have done quite a lot of upward stuff, and then this wasn't too bad. There was, this is what pre-COVID was like. Well, in that case, we need another COVID. I shouldn't say that, really. Yeah, the trouble is, see, I never traded through COVID. I think I started just after that. When was COVID? About 4 years ago. Yeah, I hadn't started then. Okay, possible second entry short. Now, what I will say that is that NQ, we've had that overshoot and we've come down. I'd expect, well, I said expect a break. We've got a break here. So if we can push up, maybe retest this, then come down a bit. Because it looks like a range, I think, that we could get a correction. But that first leg of the correction has just gone down too far for me. By the time we get a pullback and another correction, we'll be down here. Can't see that going up in a wider channel, so I think it's likely this may continue down. So if that's the case, we're about as high as we want to go here. I won't be looking for a second entry short just in case. I always like to give it a chance to trap me and push up. So I'll look then for the lower high, in which case a leg and a leg. I'd expect to at least get down to that midline and that second leg. So let's just look at this. This NQ, so there is possibly a second entry short forming on that NQ, which is a good sign. And there is a second entry short forming. Now, there is there's something I don't like on that NQ at the moment. I wouldn't go short on that NQ, so I'm not going short on here. I think if you're not sure, the safest bet is the lower high. If we get a lower high here, I think then that's a fair chance and this is coming down for another leg. Okay, it's a nice looking bearish bar. It is a second entry short.
Order filled.
Okay, I don't think this is that bad actually. Bit more risk than I'd wanted, but there we go. Second entry short. I'm down a tick lower than I wanted to get in really, but we'll see. Yeah, there's an extra tick there. Give that one extra tick. Channel down, 2 legs up, second entry short. Two legs up, see if we can get a lower high there, or here rather. Well, this isn't looking good. Well, this is going to take me out for sure. I'll give it an extra tip, but that's all I'm willing to go.
Order filled.
There we go. So that's 3.25 points down. That's a shame. Overshoot, leg down, 2 legs up. Should have waited for the lower high, but there you go. So, second entry short. Minus 3.25 points. So, yeah, lower high would have been the better option. I don't usually take them, but I actually liked it. I like the way it closed there. It was looking right on the NQ. Is this continuing on up? Possible.
Order submitted.
Uh, no, I'm not liking this.
Order cancelled. It's hard to know what to do here. God, it's starting to look bearish. That's the one I like. Yeah, possible. Just thinking if there's a triple test there. 1, 2, 3. Hmm. There's nothing worse than it being slow. Uh, I wish it'd speed up. It's so boring when it's like this. Carries on like this, I'm going to finish early, I think. God, this is so bloody slow and boring. Okay, excuse me just for a quick minute. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. Okay. What is going on? God, it's slow, isn't it?
Order
It's quite a
submitted.
small risk. Let's see how this pans out.
Order cancelled.
Excuse me a sec.
Order filled.
I think it's a small risk. It is a second entry short. There's probably going to be some longs in there, so it's a smallish risk, 2.25 point risk. It's confirming that channel. More than that, really. See how it goes. Thanks, Kev. I appreciate that, mate. I think it's looking like it's going to drop.
Order filled.
I'm going to get out of the bottom just in case. It may go lower, but it may tick out the bottom. Ideally, if you want to get in there, you've got to be out before the lows, but let's have a look. 1, 2. It's kind of a triple test, and what I do like about it is trapping 2 lots of longs. So what did I get in there for? So 675, 775, 6 ticks. If you're going to get into a trade like that, you really need to get out at the bottom. As tempting as it is to come lower, but it's a risky trade as it is. But I thought there was a chance as it had triggered above 2 longs that it was going to at least come down to the bottom. There is sort of a lower high forming on that. See, we're clearly, we've come down, we've pulled back, we're clearly working down. There's a second entry short there, but I think it's more of an inside bar. I thought it was the same height, but it's not, and there's possibly a lower high. So 2 legs up, another reason why I took that just down at the bottom. So it's hard to say really, but it's definitely more of an aggressive trade. Yeah, part of me wanted to sort of get a little bit more, because usually when it goes sideways and comes off here, usually it'll have a good drop then. But the honest, I did that the other day after a loss, try to get a little bit more, try to get a bit greedy, but the important bit is to chip away. If you take a loss, it's just one thing, you just got to keep going on, yeah. So the sensible thing is to get out before the lows, which I did. I always get out a little bit above the lows, so it was a 1.5 anyway, so it was still worth it. It was a small risk as well, if I remember right. It was only a 2.5 point, 2.25 point risk. Yeah, 2.25 point risk. I think I give it an extra tick, didn't I? So it's 2.25, 2.5, which is not massive in all fairness. So it's worth it just for that little bit. But it is more risky. What I like about it is we've got a touch. So it's confirming that. And not only that, whenever we do this, we go red down, green up, red down, green up. There's a bullish bar trap there, so you think at least going to come down to the bottom. So when it is sideways, it is up, down, up, down, up, down. And now we've pushed up and triggered. I think that's more likely to come down to the bottoms, but a lower high. But I've already taken my aggressive trade there. I don't want to take another one because I'll be pushing my luck then. Nothing worse than when it does this. why this is so slow today. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, mate. Someone said the other day when we've had a lot of pushing up, and we have some strong moves up, haven't we, over the last few days? Maybe this is just a little bit of consolidation. See, consolidation on the daily just looks like a couple of candles go inside. I mean, we push up and we go sideways, don't we? We push up and we go sideways. So this, all these moves here, if you looked on the daily, it probably just looked like a bit of sideways before we eventually move again. So I don't know why it's a little bit low today. I don't know really. See, after this push down, there is a possibility of a leg up, and then another leg up to this level, just to sort of retest trying to retest going up. It does seem more like a penguin style trade. Something like that. We got a channel down after that overshoot. One attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher, and a failure. So that's a possibility. Okay, 10 more minutes and lazy, I think, for me. It's just doing nothing in a minute. See if it makes another attempt up. Yeah, maybe it's like we got that after that overshoot. We got that channel down. One attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher, failure. So if we can get a push above and get a short, and we can get a lower high, there may be an option to go short there. It's hard to say really. About that, we could push up, but we've pushed up and we've got so far and we've failed. So this is a second time. This might be the camel that breaks the straws back, I think. The way it's flickering down there. Let's see how it ends. Be a lower high, I'll be interested if I should have left that one, to be fair. Usually, I don't take many second entry longs, but after this and the overshoot, 2 legs up, I thought that would work. It did, but not before taking me out for a couple of ticks. It did what I expected it to do. Sort of come down and break the low as well. We had a matching low, didn't we? But yeah, even if we've had an overshoot, sorry, a break, it's kind of two legs. We kind of had a leg like that, and then a leg like that, and then a big bearish bar which engulfs the last two bars. So I thought that was okay. Did it even make a point? I don't think it did it? No, you squeezed a point out of that, but it ended up, I gave it an extra tick, which if I'd have given it 2 ticks, then I'd been alright, but it did what it was supposed to. I thought that was a strong enough bar. It closed, in all fairness, little channel break, new high. Sometimes it doesn't. So I'd have preferred that to go up a little bit higher. One attempt, second attempt. Mind you, the second attempt doesn't get as high. You'd think that would be it. If we can get a lower high down here, I'd say this is then coming down. Excuse me. In fact, that looks like a failure on the 10,000 tick chart. We've had the channel break new high, try to go once, try to go twice. Looks like a possible failure. Yeah, it looks to me like this is coming down. Leg down, 2 attempts to go higher. And a fail break out of this. I just didn't like the wick. It's a little bit of a bigger bar. Lower high here might be an option. God, it's so slow, isn't it? Okay, see if we can get a lower high here. It is boring, mate. You're wrong. You're right. I mean, oh, excuse me. Yeah, it is, isn't it? You know, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? It's a ball ache. I know that much. Just looking at that NQ at the moment. A channel down with a break. There is kind of like two legs up. There's a lower high there, which is triggered along. So this could just drop, but it could trigger below there and push up and create a second entry long and trap some short. So just not sure at the moment. It's possibly we've got the channel with a break and a new low, and now this is going to push up, try and retest the top. It's just, that comes down there, so it's triggered that lower high, is it going to come down? I'm not so sure. We could push up there, touch. So hard to say really whether we're going to do this, but I mean that channel I just drew that, we can get rid of that. There was a channel down there with a break and a new low. We retested this. It could be a second entry long. It could push up. So second entry long there. It really could do anything. It just depends. If there's more sellers, it'll come down. If there's more buyers, it'll go up. I'm really not sure. There's shorts and longs trapped. Let's just see what happens with this move, and then I'm going to finish for the day. I'm 190 account per down. I can live with that. One more trade, I'll write that. Okay, if we get below here then, well, we'll make a new low from this. There we go. Now, is it going to turn? Okay, now down we come. I had a feeling that was going to do that. Once we get below that bar there, that higher low, we had a bit of a drop. So if we can get below that, it'll come down some more. So my suspicions were we're going down after that, but get many commissions. I am purchasing it this weekend. Not a lot, mate. I think it builds up. You've got to wait for it to hit $100. So I've had probably about $300, I think, off it, something like that. But it's all right. It's, you know, it doesn't cost anybody anything more. It all helps, doesn't it? But I mean, you got 4 counts there. It makes difference. If you took individual trades there, if you'd have taken them on all your counts, or even if you just trade 2 at a time, you know what I mean, or something like that, and sort of build up like that. It depends how you feel. I'm in on 10, and I'm okay with it. It's not really I don't like to lose a trade, but it doesn't get me like it used to. I appreciate it, mate. Yeah, just go slow. Just see how you feel. Once you get see if you can get your accounts built up, then it's not so bad. But my plan is to get 10 and 10 and just trade them separately. I don't want to trade any more than 10. But yeah, I don't mind. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to finish now anyway. Just quick another look at that. Channel down, sort of a couple of legs up, and it is working down with that break. There is a lower high there. Now, my suspicions were it was going to go down because look, we're below the EMA. We've pushed above the EMA, and we've now closed. So my suspicions were, it was coming down. But ideally, we needed to get below that bar there because as it did, it had a quick surge of maybe a point or so, because there had probably been some longs thinking going along there. So my suspicions were it come down, but it needs to get below that bar really to then create some momentum. And unfortunately, I was hoping this would trigger above here and give us a lower high, in which case I may have taken it. But where they finish exactly the same, I hate that for some reason. And obviously I'm one trade up, one trade down, but I'm a little down today, see, so it's important that your next trade, is a positive one. And that was just a bit, when it goes sideways like that, sometimes it can surprise you. But my thought process, it was going to come down, but unfortunately there wasn't anything really. So you got 6 points, did you, bud? Yeah, good on you, mate. If that one was a bit more bearish, I wouldn't have minded taking that one. But even with that one, I think sometimes the lower high is a bit better. Good on you, bud. But so I'm only down 190 account, so one more trade had more than right that. So I'm all right. But yeah, another day struggling again, lack of setups. That one frustrated me because the thought process was right. We were going to have a couple of legs up, and we had a leg, a break and leg, and there was a bar that was bearish bar. I actually thought it was okay. It's a second entry short, close below the EMA. After this, overshoot. And it did, to be honest with you, it did move down, but not before ticking me out. They shook out shorts twice, yeah. Excuse me, but it's one of those things, and it happens, isn't it? But the most important thing is how you recover. If you can recover from a loss, you'll do okay. And it's the one thing I've struggled with up until recently. It's not affecting me now as much as it used to. I don't like taking a loss. I still get that a bit, that feeling in your gut. I don't like taking it, but I don't have the same effect. I used to sort of panic, and when I had a second one, God, my hair used to stand on end. I'd seriously panic. And I'd finish the stream and revenge trade, and we all know that how ends 8 times out of 10. But I'm not doing it, and I'm going to walk away now. You guys can see I leave my account balances down here, so you can see I'll come tomorrow with exactly the same. So, I mean, you could look at it all and say you're down $1,900, but really, I'm just down 119 accounts, so I'm just down by actually less than one trade. So don't think about it as a whole package. Think about it, because all I'm doing is trading one account, and the rest are getting copied. So, excuse me a sec. But yeah, it's tough conditions at the moment. I actually thought that was okay. Now, in a lot of cases, I wait for the high or low, and then that might be a case that it might have been a better option because we didn't get one that would have kept me out of that trade. A little bit more aggressive, but I could see what was happening. We were clearly pushing up that line, and we had that bearish bar, which worked to the bar. I did try and be a bit greedy, but I did that the other day and ended up getting out for break even. But I think, I tend to go for 10 ticks, but you've got to take each trade on its merit really. If Mac took that, he'd be saying you've got to get out before the bottoms, and I did. I always like to get out at the bodies, which is there. For some reason, sometimes it doesn't break belows, but I put it there, and there was a 0.5 there, so that was okay. I actually didn't mind it, and I like the fact that there was a couple of longs in there, and the bias is down at the moment. So it worked down to the bottom and then obviously bounced, but as we survived to continue. Absolutely, yeah. And it takes you a long time to really learn that. It's not so much that it takes you a long time to learn that. It takes a lot of time to be able to cope with that, because once those emotions are in, you start panicking, you're doomed. You really are. But over time, those emotions do start to subside. And it gets easier, but that's the trick. If you can, we've all read the book Best Loser Wins, and it's true. If you can lose and not let it affect you, no one likes to lose a trade, but it's a fact of life. It happens. But someone said to me a while ago, Nick, that it's just a business expense. Put it down a business expense. If you've got a vehicle or a van with your business and it breaks down and you've got to spend £500 fixing it, you don't think, oh Christ, I need to get that money back. So yeah, it's just one of those things, and it is part and parcel of it. The best traders in the world have losses from time to time, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I am sorry, I was just looking at that, but I'm not interested. We've already had a break and a new low, so when I'm done, I'm done. I'm quite happy to shut things down. So there you go. So we got a winning trade and a losing trade. The loss was a little bit larger. I gave it an extra tick, which was 3, and I got out before the lows there. Slightly more aggressive trade, but I could see what was going on. Leg down, and it's still working down, so my thought process, it was coming down, but I got out of the lows where I'm supposed to, and there you go. So look, if you're carrying on trading, the volume is low today and you can get yourself chopped up, and I think a lot of it is down to lack of patience, but there's just very little volume again today. That's it. I mean, in a lot of cases there'll be this plus 50% more, but by now, so it is what it is. Some days it's like this, you know, with all the will in the world, there's not a lot you can do. More volume, really, I suppose. Go down, try maybe the 1,000 tick chart and see if there's any more offers there. There we go. So if you carry on trading, best of luck. Failing that, I will see you again tomorrow, Thursday, another couple of days, another week's done. And that is it. So have a great evening, stay safe, and I'll see you all tomorrow. We'll do it all again. Bye for now.